Hi everyone. Well, we thought we'd better do a video update tonight because there's quite a lot happening with the weather, and it's quite a complicated situation, so we thought we'd try and explain why it's so difficult to get a snow forecast from this, and try and explain why different areas of the island may see snow and some may not see snow. So we'll start off with the standard synoptic chart showing the areas of high and low pressure, and these areas here are showing the wind direction. Sorry. We thought we'd overlay the wind strength as well. It could be quite useful to look at. So you can see as we move through, this is the American computer model by the way, as we move through tonight and into tomorrow, these colours get a bit brighter, showing there's going to be some stronger winds developing, and that's coming up from the southeast. Now this low pressure is partly responsible for what's going to happen, but it's this little trough here that's extending down here towards France. Now as this little V shape in the isobars moves north, we have a front running along this trough and along this V shape, so I say, and to the southwest of it the winds are southwesterly, to the north of it the winds are southeasterly. Now as where they're southeasterly, they'll be bringing in colder air from the continent, so that is blowing up across us, but then the winds try and turn into the southwest towards tomorrow evening, which is where the milder air would be introduced if it makes it this far. But we're not sure how far north this little V shape is going to move, because if this V shape doesn't quite move that as far north as this is showing, we would end up with, well, we'd end up staying in the colder air. So like I said, this is the American computer model showing perhaps introducing some slightly milder air for a few hours tomorrow night, so if any snow does fall it would turn back to rain. Now we'll compare this to one of the European computer models that we use. So we'll run through this again, and you can see the low pressure approaching and that little trough, that little V shape coming up towards us. So by 5, 6, 7 p.m. we've got this trough, and it's pretty much in the English Channel. The American computer model by this time had it a lot further north, had it almost in southern England. And what this means is that the winds are likely or potentially going to stay more in the east to southeast at first and coming round into the northeast later. So that would mean the milder air doesn't get introduced, which in turn would mean that the colder air would stay with us, of course, and could increase the chance of further snowfall. So yeah, this is the technical part that we're not sure, because it's whether it moves a little bit further north, introduces milder air, whether it stays where it is, or you know, if it only moves maybe to the central English Channel. This is the complicated part, and we don't know what it's going to do. There's no way we can tell, so it's all down to the computer models to let us know what is going to happen. And where they're quite split on this situation, with about a 50-mile difference between a few of them that we've been looking at, you know, it's very difficult to know for sure. So now let's have a quick look at the precipitation, which is of course rain or snow or anything that falls out of the sky. So we're going to overlay the wind arrows as well again. So we're going to move through it's going to be tonight into tomorrow. So you can see it looks pretty dry through tonight. It's going to be very frosty in fact. And then you can see a few showers moving up through tomorrow morning. And that's when things start to change. You see this area of rain moving up through. Now as it comes up against this colder, drier air, it starts to turn to snow. Now how close to the coast, or you know, how far inland this happens, we're not sure about, because like I said, it's all down to how far north that little trough moves. At the moment it looks like somewhere tomorrow evening, 5, 6, 7 p.m. we're going to have the rain falling over us, which of course will likely turn to snow away from the coast, because of course the sea at this time of year is going to be warmer than the air. So now we'll show you the actual snowfall map of where snow is likely to accumulate. So we are using the European model once again for this, and so let's run through. And nothing really reached us until about 4 or 5 p.m. So we can skip through, and you can see the snow over the mainland and a little bit over Dartmoor and Exmoor. And then you can start to see this snow approaching from the northwest. Now this is at 5 p.m. You start to see a little bit of something developing here over the island. And then as we move into by 6 p.m. really, and into 7 p.m, you see it looks like we could have some snow over the island, and this is really 2 to 3 centimeters worth at this point. So this is how one of the models is showing it at the moment. We don't have snow depth data access on really any of the other models at this high resolution at the moment, but hopefully we will soon. So yeah, this is how it's looking with the snow moving across and accumulating to, you know, like I said, 2 to 3 centimeters, maybe a little bit more, especially over higher ground. So now we've zoomed in a little bit, and we're going to actually have a look at one of the highest resolution models that we use, and this is a French computer model. So what we're seeing here, this is tomorrow morning, so we're seeing temperatures only just above freezing really, and a few showers moving across the island. So these could fall as sleet or hail, and possibly produce a bit of ice where they fall as rain. So it could be a few problems from that. But anyway, they look like they'll move away, and then the temperatures rise to 3 or 4, maybe even 5 degrees Celsius at the most. But then the precipitation arrives, which will be rain at first. And as it falls, the wind starts to get stronger, so the drier air starts to be pulled up from France. As this happens, the temperatures start to fall away. So this is the temperature for 6 p.m. with rain that will be turning to sleet at this point, and possibly to snow in more central and western parts of the island. So really where the temperature is 2 degrees Celsius or below is where we could see snow falling. And then as we move through into 9 p.m, we've still got the precipitation over us. The wind direction by this point, it looks like could be turning more into the east to northeast. If that's the case, the temperatures will fall even further. So anything that's falling across really I'd say probably about 2/3 of the island, which includes mostly the west and the north of the island, any of that area could see some snow falling and potentially accumulating as well. Whereas in more eastern parts here, where the wind's coming in off the much warmer sea, and this extends right round to the south coast and possibly up the west coast a little bit, right close to the sea anyway, it looks like would probably be rain or sleet at the very most. Of course this may change, but at the moment that's how it's looking. So yeah, it's a very complicated situation, and we can't say for sure what's going to happen. But one thing we do know is that as we head through the night, the temperatures do fall away once again. At least it looks that way with the higher resolution models. So it's probably not really helped anyone. It probably hasn't made it any clearer. But it's the best we can really do at the moment, and at least trying to explain why it's happening and why it's quite complicated. But we are still expecting snow to fall across the island. We may upgrade or downgrade the warning that we've got out at the moment. That said, originally for 2 to 5 centimeters, that may be pushing it a little bit now, but we still are expecting a few centimeters worth to accumulate away from the windward coasts. So anyway, we'll give you more updates on this in the morning. We should know a little bit more by then, and yeah, and that's all for now. Goodbye.